We're back on WUSB Stony Brook 90.1 FM. The show is Country Pocket. The guest is Stephanie Sammons. The album is Time and Evolution, and the song is Innocence Lost. Um, yeah, I think every single one of us has done something in our younger years that is difficult as adults for us to realize, yeah, we actually did that. Um, Tell me about the feelings that you're still experiencing surrounding that sparrow.
Well, it's something I'll never forget. Um, it was, it was a pretty graphic experience in that when I ran over to that bird that I had shot out of the tree, it was laying there on the ground with the BB in its chest, and I'll call it a she, the BB in her chest, and she's looking up at me, blinking her eyes like this, and then she dies.
Mm,
So, like, I witnessed the death of the bird, this beautiful creature, and I just didn't realize the magnitude of what I had done until I saw this happen in front of me. Um, and so, now I pretty much love every animal. I can't stand to see, I don't care what it is. I just can't stand like someone hit a duck around my house, and it just crushes me. Now I don't care about roaches or things like that, but um I've realized over the years I'm an extremely empathetic person, an empath, almost to a fault. And I think a lot of songwriters are.
yeah, I think it's sort of a backdoor requirement of the job to, at the very least, be able to deeply understand yourself, if not others.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you talked about shame coming over you like a wind. Yeah, um, that's a feeling. Tell me about how you try to move on from that shame, whether it be with the bird or an old relationship or just anything that you regret.
Um, I mean, I know this may sound cheesy, but Brene Brown has helped me a lot with that. She talks a lot about shame. Uh, she's done a tremendous amount of work and research around shame. I think the way that I've dealt with it is to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable and to talk about these things, these events where I've experienced shame, and understanding that being vulnerable means being courageous and brave. So I do try to squash it and extinguish it out of my mind because it's so damaging to walk around carrying the weight of shame. It's so destructive to us as human beings.
Yeah. Um, the quote I really love on this album is comparing blind faith to the moon and truths are like stars. Um, Explain that one, like, go into that a little further.
Um, well, the blind faith that's shaken by the truth is like seeing the stars instead of the moon. So that metaphor, if you walk outside and you're looking at a bright moon, um, and not really noticing the stars, flip flop that and notice the stars all of a sudden instead of the bright full moon, is like a revelation, a realization.
Yeah,
That's
I
where I
mean,
was going with that.
do you is it something where you need to be able to see both?
Mm, that's a really interesting insight. Yeah, I think so, because that is how we learn. The last vignette in that song is about a friend who passed away, and the first time you go through someone close to you dying, and you go to the funeral, and it's an open casket, and you know you it's so granular and right there in front of you, and before you've ever experienced that, it's this blind faith of, oh, when you die, it was almost glamorized. When you die, everything's great, because then you're going to heaven, you're in a better place. And that's what I always had in my mind as a child and growing up, that uh Jesus comes down from the sky and carries you up. And I always asked as a child, well, how do we get up? I don't understand. um and so that's blind faith. And being shaken by the truth is when you see the loved one right there and experience for the first time that they're not coming back. They are gone.
Yeah, that's a powerful moment. Great, great quote. Um,
Thank you.
so, you know, we definitely talked about how how difficult it would be to mend society. Um, but I don't see society being mended anytime soon.
Hmm.
Um, if anything, I feel like we still haven't hit bottom. If you pay attention to historical cycles, usually things have to get a little worse than they are now before common sense starts having to prevail and people start paying attention to it again. Um, but given that the world will be how it is, given that certain people in our lives are never going to treat us right, how do we mend ourselves?
Well, hmm. I truly don't know if I have an answer to that. We can heal. The scars are always there. And I don't know. I guess there are all kinds of we can choose our friends, we can choose our family, we can choose our faith or not have faith. Um, we still, at least currently, have the freedom to decide and to be who we are. Um, it's It's not 100% safe for many people, by a long shot, actually. But I don't think we can give up. At least I can't. I can't give up. I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. But I do have hope. I don't know how we mend. Um, but I think it's destructive individually to be consumed by everything that is going on around us that we have no control over. It can be soul crushing. And so, I can make the decision that I don't want to watch the national news anymore, that my wife tunes into every night, because it physically makes me ill. It raises my blood pressure. It just completely changes my mood, the fear, uh even the background music, when the news is the national news is first coming on. um so I don't know, maybe small decisions like that, doing what you have to do for you to at least protect yourself.
Yeah, there's unfortunately not a ton we can do on a macro scale, but we can, at the very least, try not to consume too much of it.
Yeah.
All right. Stephanie Sammons, the new album is Time and Evolution. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Um, I always wrap things up by saying I'm going to give you a chance to pick a song that closes the show. Um, Anything you want, as long as you're not the one who was involved in creating it.
Mm,
Um, and just pick something that you think goes along with our conversation today.
okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And the first song that comes to mind is Closer to Fine by the Indigo Girls.
Yeah, yeah, that's a classic. All
That
right.
song was very instrumental in my own coming out process, and even realizing that I was different, and what was this thing. And I saw that video on MTV, and I was like, oh, you know. So
They
yeah,
are icons to say the least.
they are. And I love that song, and it's optimistic, and it's hopeful. So that's what I would choose.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.